Hello, everyone. Excuse me, my voice today. I don't know what's going on. It is raining here in Arizona, which it does not do often. Excuse me. Get that out of the way now. Yeah, it's raining here, which, like I said, it does not do very often. I think everybody's shocked. Everyone loves it. I have to be honest, I don't love it. I know I'm supposed to. Everybody else loves it, but I don't love it. I want it to rain when I'm sleeping, but I like the sun. So I live in the right place for sure. But welcome, Friday Live. And we're going to get going on this topic because home sales, the pending home sales are down right now. And there have been some news articles out right now that home sales, in other words, people that are under contract right now, they're canceling their homes a lot. So we're going to talk about all of this and let us know where you are watching from. I always love to know that because it's always good to know who we're talking to, what we're talking about. And before further ado, I'm going to bring in my guest. His name is Mike. Mike, welcome.
Hello.
Mike's from California. He's in Anaheim Hills. Think of Disneyland, and that is where Mike is.
Yep. Not too
Did you
far
guys
from
have
here.
rain yesterday?
We had rain yesterday and day before yesterday. It's good. I had to cancel my golf game, but that's no reason. But I love the rain, and we need the rain more than anything else.
I know. Everybody says that here too. They're like, we need the rain, and I'm like, I know we do, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
I had to go out and show a house today, and nobody. I don't know about. When I lived in California, people owned umbrellas. No one in Arizona owns an umbrella.
Yeah.
So it rains, and we're like, what do we do?
Yeah. I was previewing a house in Newport Beach. It was raining, and from the mall, we went for lunch. The car, I just walked.
Yeah.
And it was raining, and I just walked. I didn't care.
I know. That's kind of how I am.
I didn't have an umbrella either, so I had no choice.
Right. Yeah. When it's raining, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm going to get wet. Yeah. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've seen the news too. We've had pending home sales in California. Again, in every market, it's different, but our pending home sales are down. They're down kind of nationwide. And the big one is all the deals that have canceled recently.
Yeah, a lot of there's a town, I just read a report, yes, there's a town called Rancho Santa Margarita or Rancho Mission Viejo, 20 miles from here. A lot of escrows are canceling because it's the last city in our Orange County, and there's a lot of insurance and fire issues, so a lot of them are canceling.
Oh, because of that?
Insurance. Other reasons as well, people backing out, interest rates not going up, they find out the HOA is going to go up or whatever. But yeah, there is a lot of cancellation. I'm seeing more than normal cancellation, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Overall, right.
Yeah, I know it. It's crazy. I feel like and that's why I wanted to talk about all this stuff today, because the question I'm sure I hear every single day is, how's the market?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Everybody's like, how's the market? I was at my kid's birthday party a couple weekends ago, and everyone was leaving, and one of the dads looked at me and he said, hey, by the way, how is the market?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's definitely different than it was.
Yeah. And I'm noticing that it's getting very spotty, in the sense it used to be kind of same everywhere. Like when it was hot everywhere. Now, like Orange County is still hot. Southern California is still hot. I just opened up 2 escrows. On each one, I had to write 4 offers, and each one had to pay overpriced, and we finally got it. But I know there are pockets like Florida, as an example, or some places in Texas, it is slowing down. So market has become very spotty compared to 2 years ago. Well, overall, everybody was doing well or not doing well.
Right. I know. And I just had, I talked with a seller about getting their house on the market. They had only owned the house for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did an estimated settlement statement on what we really anticipated the house would sell for. And they were going to still come out ahead, but not by much.
Okay.
And they said, you know what, we are going to possibly rent it for a little while until the market changes a little bit, or we've got a little bit more equity in the house so that we can then sell it. Right. I've had that happen twice now. So yeah, if people here in Arizona have only owned their house for 2 to 3 years, they cannot be expecting a massive return.
Yeah, the appreciation has slowed down, but still appreciating, at least Orange County. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it is here too. We have gotten to the point of, we're basically appreciating at or just below inflation.
Okay. So it doesn't really help then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into this article here. I think I was up. Let me go back up to the top here. So this is from Redfin, and it says pending home sales are down 6%, but falling mortgage rates are starting to attract buyers. So it's interesting, right? So mortgage rates dipped to their lowest level in nearly 3 months this week, which pushed mortgage purchase applications up. But pending home sales are still falling. Southern California is bucking the trend with pending sales increasing. Now I'm just going to jump ahead to this and say this because what I feel like I'm seeing and what I've been reading about this specifically, and because you're there, you might know this better than I.
Right.
They're saying that the reason that the pending home sales are still up in California is because of the fires.
Fires is having a big impact. Yeah, absolutely. And that's also one of the reasons where prices are going up, because they're all moving to Orange County, moving to up all the way up to San Diego, and they're going all the way up to past Bakersfield because they got to find homes.
Right.
You know, rentals, it's very hard to find rentals. There's rent gouging, there's price gouging. So people are moving out. Those who can afford to move out, and if they work remote, they're moving out. So yes, definitely a big impact.
Yeah. So that was one of the things as far as this saying Southern California is bucking the trend. Okay. So it says pending U.S. home sales fell 6.4% from a year earlier during the 4 weeks ending March 2nd, and the second biggest decline since November of 2023. Sales are sluggish because U.S. median sales prices are up 3.2%, and the typical home buyer's monthly housing payment is just $26 shy of its all-time high. Plus, some prospective buyers are wary about making a big purchase amid economic uncertainty, including concerns about tariffs, slowing economic growth, and layoffs. But home buyers have gotten some relief in the past week as the daily average 30-year fixed mortgage rate dipped 6.7%, the lowest level in nearly 3 months. That seems to have brought some people off the sidelines. Mortgage purchase applications rose 9% week over week. I'm hearing that too. Here's what I'm seeing here in Arizona. I don't know what you're seeing in California. I have buyers, a lot of buyers. We are having a hard time finding a house, and it's not, our inventory is rising. And this is what we're seeing here, because we as a whole in Arizona, not in every single city, but as a whole in Arizona, we're in a buyer's market.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in certain cities, like in Scottsdale, in Paradise Valley, in Cave Creek, in Chandler, in some of the bigger cities that have a lot of jobs, we are still in a seller's market, a slight seller's market, but a seller's market.
Right.
But what I'm seeing out there is the fact that we've got more houses, but the houses aren't what the buyers are looking for. And so buyers are being really picky. And I say that with all due respect, buyers, they're being really picky and they're being patient.
Right.
So they're like, you know what? I could buy this house and I need a place to live, but I don't love it. And I feel like there's stuff that needs to be done to it. So I'm just going to wait.
Yeah. And I've noticed something similar when I'm working with buyers, and of course we have weekly office meetings, like I'm sure you do. And let's talk about it. You know, buyers today are, number one, they're smarter than 2 years ago because they're doing more research. If they're going to pay a full price at a higher rate, buying as it is, they're smart to buy. So they're doing all the research. They check out the schools, they check out the history, they check out the comps, comparatives in the area. And you're absolutely right, they're very picky, but I don't blame them. If I'm going to pay a dish out $1 million, and get a 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1980 home in Orange County, I want to make sure that I'm buying the right thing.
Right.
Blame the buyers, and they want to make sure that they qualify and it's going to appraise. And after they move in, they don't have a lot of work into it.
Well, and that's what I'm seeing, because people are looking at the houses here. And again, it's like, this is in the area that I want. I like it. And again, if it's not like the perfect area, if it's not the perfect house, they're not as willing to kind of just go and make an offer and be okay with it. Like, they want it to be perfect, and they want a new roof. They want a new air conditioning unit. They want new flooring, a new kitchen, and new bathrooms. They want all of that stuff done already. Right. And unfortunately, a lot of the houses that are on the market here, they're not all of those things.
No. Yeah. So they're being cautious, and I don't blame them. Like I said, they're being patient. There's no rush. At the same time, they also, which is kind of dangerous, they're also playing with the interest rate. Now that they waited, all the people who are going to buy this week, they have a drop, 0.25%, 0.5 point, whatever. So it does help, but there's a danger in the sense that prices are still, as you mentioned, the report says prices are still going up on average. What it was 2.3% or 3%.
Yeah, 3.4.
That's an average. But you mentioned Scottsdale, Orange County, metro areas. It's probably 5 or 6% or even more. So,
right. Well, and it was interesting. I had a conversation because we in Scottsdale, where I am, we don't have a lot of new construction just because we don't have the land. But some of the outlying areas have a lot more new construction. And I have had some clients going to new construction lately. And I was having a conversation with one of the new home construction salespeople. And we were talking about one of my buyers, and I let you know, just kind of that he was being really picky. He's still not 100% sure. And we were kind of talking about how new home builders kind of have the leg up right now on resale because they have the ability to do the rate buy down for these buyers.
Right.
And she said, we do. She said, but what buyers aren't, I don't think buyers are aware of, and I think they need to be really careful because these builders are just sitting there waiting for these rates to drop, just like the buyers are. And she said, as soon as these rates drop, our incentives for rate buy downs are gone.
Ooh.
She's like, they will yank them so fast.
Right. Yeah.
And so now these buyers that have been waiting, they're going, oh, I'm just going to wait. And, you know, this is what the incentive that the new home construction people are offering, you know, and I'll just go when the rate comes down and then they'll buy my rate down even farther. That rate buy down might be gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's just a lot you have to factor in, and it's, I mean, I get it. It's a big decision. So I always
decision. Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge.
It's huge. Yep.
All right. So let's get back in this. So Southern California pending sales are rising. And this is why we talked about with the fires. So the housing market looks different in different metro areas. In parts of California, for instance, sales and listings are rising. Let me make sure I did. Okay. I forget to put the article back up in the thing. So I always like to double check.
Okay. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Pending sales increased in just 6 major U.S. metros this week. 4 of them in California. In Los Angeles, pending sales rose 8.5% year over year, the biggest increase among the the major U.S. metros. It's followed by Anaheim at 6.3%, Phoenix at 3%, Riverside at 1.3%, Columbus, Ohio at 1.1%, and Sacramento at 0.4%. On the selling side, California is home to 4 of the 5 biggest year-over-year upticks in new listings. First comes Phoenix, where listings were up 27.1%. We've got a lot of listings.
Oh, that's a huge jump. Yeah.
It's a huge jump, but I'll get back to this. It's a huge jump, but we're still okay. Followed by Sacramento at 27%, Anaheim at 20.1%, Los Angeles at 20.1%, and San Diego at 17.5%. The Los Angeles market is picking up in the aftermath of January's devastating wildfires, which destroyed thousands of homes. Some of the people displaced by the fires are buying new homes. Some other buyers are jumping back into the market after pressing pause amid the fires, and some homeowners are selling to meet demand. Prices are up, homes are selling rapidly, and overall the housing market is strong. And that's from an agent in Los Angeles. This was true before the wildfires, and it's true now. The fires have made it tough to get insurance, and they're causing buyers to look away from the hills. But the spring home buying season is definitely underway in the rest of Los Angeles. Some listings are getting lots of offers, and the best ones are going for 200 to 300 over asking price. You just said that you've got a couple offers that you just wrote, and you wrote 4 different offers for them.
Well, I had 2 clients. Both of them, I wrote at least 4 offers and finally got one. And when I told my buyers, you got to go 70,000 over list price, one was listed at 950. I told him to write it at $1 million. He said, what are you talking about? This is 2025. I say, yeah, exactly. Because, when we call the listing agent, say, hey, Sean, I'm showing you a house. You have any offers? And say, yeah, 3 offers.
Right.
So I have to tell my buyer, look, there's only 3 offers. If you want it, you got to go higher.
Right.
It's going to sell full price. It's only on the market since Thursday and it's Saturday today. And they said, no, I'm not going to offer full price offer. Then there's your waste of time.
I know. It's hard. I have a buyer right now that a house was on the market for a while, and they had done a few price drops, and they dropped the price. We saw it, and then they dropped the price after. And she had asked me, like, tell me about, are they interested? The whole thing. I said, super cute house. He's, thinking it over, the whole thing. And by the time he thought it over long enough, the house was under contract, and he was really upset.
Oh,
and unfortunately, it's one of those things, like, we as agents, we kind of have to let buyers go through that sometimes.
Yep.
Because we can only, it's like, look, I'm just here to facilitate. I can tell you, like, I really think the house is going to sell.
Yeah.
But you have to pull the trigger.
Yeah. No, they realize, and they have to go through that. They have to experience that, hey, and he did lose 3 homes and then
Yeah.
finally got one. And even then I had to,
Yeah.
for $10,000, I had to push and shove. And this is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
When it's a friend of yours, and you gotta, hey, for 10 grand, don't lose this house. And then he called one friend, he called another friend, and and they said, don't worry about 10 grand, just do it, because it's a
I
very
know.
good house, it's a good
Yeah.
city, and he was buying it for rental. So the rents are going to be there, and because of the fires, he's going to
Right.
get higher rent. He's not going to price gouge, but the rent will be pretty enough to pay their mortgage.
Right. Exactly. I know it. It's always hard to watch buyers go through that sometimes, because sometimes like the house does get away. And I always tell my buyers, I'm like, here's the thing. The house is gone and I get it and it's sad. And you're going to now compare every other house to that one because you love it.
Right.
But I've been doing this long enough to know also that it got away for a reason.
Yep.
And the one that you end up with, you're going to say to yourself, I'm so glad I didn't get that other one because I love this one so much more.
Yeah.
Like it's painful.
It's painful.
Yeah, it's painful, but it will be okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so back into this. So this gentleman added that in the wake of the Eaton and Palisades fires, home buyers should be diligent about insurance. If a home is deemed high risk because of proximity to a fire zone, buyers may have a hard time finding or affording homeowners insurance, and they should be aware premiums may rise more in a fire zone. Some house hunters are shifting their search from Altadena, which was hit hard by the Eaton fire, to Pasadena and other neighboring cities that have a less stringent insurance regulations. This was interesting. This is I'll get into that with the other I think the other article that I have. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting that I think that people don't understand LA with all that is how close all those cities are together. And it's funny because they come here not necessarily just from LA, but people come to Arizona and to the Phoenix area, and they don't realize that either. It's like you can drive in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, you can drive for 20 minutes and you can be in like 4 different cities.
Same thing there too. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't come to Phoenix in a while, so I need to come there. But yeah. It's grown. I know I was there about 5-6 years ago. So
it's gotten big, and it's
a lot of the Californians are coming there or have been coming. I don't know what the rate is right now, but a lot of them came there.
A lot of them came here. I know it. And there's always a big thing because California went a lot of different places during the pandemic.
Especially Arizona, because it's close.
It's really close. And it made it so that if there was somebody that was working and they still needed to get to California, they could move their family here. And if, say, the husband or the wife or somebody had a job in California where they could kind of work remotely, but they needed to get to the office every month or every couple, it makes it a really easy drive.
And they, like I sold a house a few years back, and he moved over there in a city called Evergreen. Is there Evergreen? It's in the retirement community or Evergreen or something. Yeah, it's totally retired. It's a 55 plus city.
It might be on the west side of town. I don't know all the 55 plus.
I think it's Evergreen or something, Green Valley or something. Anyway, he moved over there. Yeah, he moved over there for several. He bought a house for $150,000, brand new. He sold his condo here at that time for $500,000.
Oh wow!
He paid $150,000 cash over there. But one of the reasons he moved to Arizona in that town is because he has a son over here, and he loves fishing. He loves going to the mountains. He loves going to the beach. He said every 3-4 months he comes over here. Yeah. Especially July through September, he's here.
Right, because it's so hot here.
So yeah, the whole town is empty over there. He said the whole town is empty.
100%. 100%.
Some of the shops closed for 3 months because nobody's there.
Yeah. Well, there's some golf communities, like big golf communities in North Scottsdale that they have, it's Desert Mountain, and it's got, 7 golf courses and 7 clubhouses and the whole deal. Right. And they shut some of them down because a lot of the people there, sometimes they're primary residents, sometimes that's a second or third or fourth home for somebody. Right. And they're somewhere else because they're just not here during the summer. It's just too hot.
Yep.
If you don't have to be here in the summertime, I suggest not being.
Yeah. They leave because it gets too hot. What are you going to do all day? I mean, it gets hot 10 o'clock. I don't know how, but it gets hot there by 10.
No. Right? That's the big thing that everybody says. They're like, oh no, it's okay. It cools off. I'm like, no. Our coolest in the summertime is, I mean, I used to race bicycles, and I would get up early in the morning to go out and ride, even in the summertime. And I would get up at like 3:30 in the morning and be on my bike as soon as the sun came up, and it was still like 85.
Oh my! In the morning?
In the morning.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So by 10, it's 100 degrees easy.
Oh, easy.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. 110.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the dead heat of the summer. Oh yeah. I
Right.
mean, no,
Summertime. Right.
people look at me all the time. They're like, is it really as hot as everyone says it is out there? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, we know Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for watching, buddy. Hello. I just had an insurance professional tell me one of his carriers notified his agency that they would not write a policy for any clients with less than a 750 credit score. That is interesting. I have not heard
Yeah.
insurance associated to credit score. I've not. I have another client that his insurance agent, every time we look at a house that he's kind of interested in, he talks to his insurance agent about it because she tells him, those trees are going to have to be trimmed back. That's going to have to be taken care of. So, I mean, I'm glad that he does it because, it just kind of gives us some more information, but credit score, I had not heard. Thanks for sharing that.
That's a new one. Yeah. I've never heard of that.
I know. It's going to be a big factor going forward. It's interesting. I wonder, do you think that has to do with the fact that they want to know that if somebody has a 750 credit score, that maybe they feel like they can afford it if the insurance doesn't cover the property? I can't think of another reason why they would be worried about credit scores.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's the risk factor. Just like mortgage, the better your credit score, the better chance of you paying on time.
Yeah.
So maybe the insurance people now are wondering, because now the rates are going up and everything's going up, how likely is he continue gonna go pay?
Yeah, and that's a good point.
Yes, I don't know. That's something new to me also.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. They figure that, if you're paying your bills on time, then you're probably going to pay because here's the thing. Maybe some of these insurance companies are going to write policies and the people don't pay their insurance policy. But I mean, if they're not paying their insurance policy, then they don't have to, cover the property.
Yeah. I think most will pay the insurance rather than something else. I mean, if I had a choice, I'd rather pay the insurance and maybe let go my gas or at least until I can afford to pay me 1 month late or something.
Right. I think it comes down to risk and credit worthiness. Yeah. I mean, it's gotta be. David says people with low credit scores commit more fraud.
Oh,
yeah. Possibly. Yeah. I know. Possibly. I don't know. It's crazy.
Good to know. Yeah.
That's a good question here. Fernando wants to know which insurance. My insurance company that I have, the last 2 years, they've shopped my insurance when it came time to renew because it's an insurance broker. And the last 2 years I've changed the first time they did it, I didn't change companies, but they rewrote my entire policy with the same company to save me money. And then this year we actually changed insurance companies.
Okay.
Because it was going to save us money.
Right.
Yeah. But they've never asked for my credit.
Yeah. Maybe now moving on, they might be, they might start asking. Who knows?
I know.
Yeah.
Just as it was a smaller company in the Midwest. Yeah. That was the thing. So I had a mortgage person on my channel just a couple weeks ago. And that was one of the things that he was kind of saying, not about credit. We didn't talk about having to get the credit scores, but he was saying that a lot of the insurance companies that are out there that are really struggling are these insurance companies that were small and that started, a few years ago. And now they're just getting hit by claim after claim after claim. He said, imagine having an insurance company that's relatively small and you've written, 10 policies with homes that are all $1.5 million. He's like, if they all go down, you don't have the money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's a case for not going with a smaller insurance company. I don't know. I feel the same way, like with, I don't know if you've been in the business for a really long time, haven't you?
Yes. Asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. But just to make a note on the smaller companies, just like we have insurance policies, all these companies have their insurance companies, including State Farm, but they have the bigger insurance guys.
The underwriters,
the big one, they have insurance. So if there's a claim, then those pay them.
Right.
Just like the mortgage, we get it to B of A, but then B of A sells it to Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae.
Right.
They're covered by that. So, so they're, they don't have to have a lot of cash on hand because they have insurance to pay for it.
Yeah.
But it costs them more because if they're going to keep claiming, then, so it's a big factor. Yeah.
Right. Fernando says they increase to offset, but won't let you go. That's for me that I've seen.
Hmm.
Yeah. the insurance, I think the insurance thing is going to be a very interesting topic to watch over the next few years, because I feel like it's just drastically changed over the last few years.
Right.
I think with the California fires being like, everything was already changing, like with the fires in Hawaii, and then the hurricanes in Florida. And I feel like now, just piggyback, this is like the third strike you're out, the fires in California. I
Yeah.
think now it's just going to be an interesting thing. And I think some people just are not going to have insurance, which is, I don't think that's great.
Yeah, it's sad, and a lot of people can't get insurance. Look at Florida. You mentioned Florida. A lot of homes are not selling because they can't get insurance. Number one, or the insurance is too high; they cannot qualify. And because the insurance is so high, the HOAs are increasing the HOA rate. So one, your insurance is going up, your HOA is going up, so your debt to income ratio is, you can't qualify, and that's
I
part of the
know.
reasons where Florida, a lot of homes are vacant or not selling because nobody can get a loan.
I have 2 clients in Florida waiting to sell their homes to move here.
Oh, okay. What issues
And
are they having? Same issues or?
yeah, one of them is in Naples, Florida, and they just have a lot on the market right now, a lot. And the other
Naples.
one,
Okay.
yeah, the other one is in it's a smaller town. I don't know it. And I can't even. It's something parish something. And they had an offer on it, and then the buyer ended up backing out because of a deal that they had that wasn't coming to fruition with something else for the funds.
Mhm.
And that buyer said, they're coming back as soon as their deal comes together, but it's been like a month,
Wow.
and yeah, that they haven't come back. So it's just interesting. It's funny because we get a lot of people coming to Arizona that will look at Florida, especially from the East Coast. They'll look at Florida or Arizona.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because a lot of people that end up here do so. And this has been years, right? Because I've been doing this for 26 years. And for years and years, the reason that they end up here versus Florida is because of hurricane insurance.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Jeff says, I believe I heard that Naples has something like 11 months of inventory. I don't know. You're probably right, Jeff, but
That's a lot.
Florida. I
Jeez.
know Florida as a whole has so much.
Florida is in, I'm not going to say in trouble, but
Yeah.
inventory is very high. The HOA, and I think the reason is insurance. And the reason the insurance went up is because of 2 reasons. One of the hurricane, and then the condo collapse and all those reassessment. They have
Mm-hmm.
that bill SB 46 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to pay all those assessments to regrade it to security or hazards,
Right.
and
Right.
it's a disaster out there right
I
now.
know.
Hate to say that. Yeah.
I know. I have another client of mine that her family lives here. Her daughters all live, or well, 2 of her daughters live here. They're in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
And they want to buy a house here. But she's like, I'm just worried that the prices in Arizona are just going to keep going up because of because we have a lot of jobs coming here, a lot,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a great thing. And she's like, I'm going to Florida, and I'm going to look there. And I'm like, I think Florida's a great state. I don't know that I would buy right this minute.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you go buy in Florida because you're going to get a great deal.
Yeah. If you're all cash or you're putting 30-40% down,
Mm-hmm.
the only issue is if you buy something that has HOA, if you buy a condo, it doesn't then, as long as you're a newer condo, not an older one where they have to do all the retrofits, and a lot of them are
Right.
older. If it's a newer one, established towns, might be okay and get deals. But, me personally, if I'm going to Florida, I would wait. Personally, I would wait
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Florida is down. A lot of the towns some of those towns are really like Naples, 11 months. 11, do you know when the last time we had 11 supply nationwide?
In the financial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah.
And we're talking national average inventory was about 10 to 11% back in 2008.
Yeah.
So if Naples has 11,000, I'm worried.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't either.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. All right. So speaking
Back.
of, let's talk about the canceled homes, because there have been a lot. 1 in 7 pending home sales are getting canceled, the highest share during this time of year on record. So Atlanta, Las Vegas, Houston, and parts of Florida are seeing the highest share of deals falling through, with supply piling up in those areas. Los Angeles is among the metro areas with the biggest increase in canceled sales due largely to January's devastating wildfires. Well, of course. More home purchases are being canceled, especially in the southeastern part of the country. Just over 41,000 U.S. home purchase agreements fell through in January, equal to 14.3% of homes that went under contract that month. That's up from 13.4% a year earlier, and the highest cancellation rate for this time of year since at least 2017. Yeah, 14% of pending home sales are falling through, the highest rate for this time of year on record. Yeah,
Yep.
here nationally.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, again, I don't know why Atlanta, Las Vegas, or Houston would be seeing that big of cancellation.
Well, part of the reasons, because I did a video similar to this, and two reasons why a lot of them are canceling. What's happening is, one is the insurance, and in some states like Nebraska, their insurance have doubled and tripled because the property tax. Nebraska doubled or something. Texas, I don't know. In Texas, like in California, we have a 1.1% rate, and because of the Prop 13, the Jarvis, they cannot increase it. But Texas, they're jumping double, triple. Austin, so maybe that could be the reason. And I don't know if that's Atlanta or Houston.
I know that property taxes in Texas are crazy high.
They've doubled, tripled in the last 3-4 years in certain areas. It depends on the county. I don't know, but I know that could be a factor. And Atlanta, we have to check. I think they don't have the stable rise that we do in California. We're so lucky with the Prop 13.
I know it's crazy. My in-laws have had their house in California for more than 50 years.
Yeah, and they're probably paying this much property tax. Yeah.
Yeah, they had talked about that. Like, I'm never selling this house because our taxes are so low.
Yeah, I've been here 25 years in this house, 27, and my property taxes are low compared to the value. Value has gone up here, but my property tax is still, I can afford it. I can afford to pay my property tax. That's good news.
Right. I know it. Yeah. I know it. I know. And Arizona, it's funny. Well, first of all, back to your comment about Nebraska. I was surprised. I have a client that was in Nebraska, and he was telling me what his property taxes are there. Nebraska's property taxes are high.
And insurance.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
But we have people that come here from a lot of different states and buy, and they always, we're getting close to, the purchase, and they're like, oh, wait a second. What are the taxes here? I mean, and sometimes we're looking at a $2 million house, and I'm like, they're $3,000. They're like, a month. And I'm like, no, for the year. And they're like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's different in different places, but people are always shocked at how low our property taxes are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know. So let's see what else they say. So there's a few reasons today's home buyers are skittish. Supply is rising and demand is falling. Housing inventory has risen to its highest. Oh, see, I'm not sharing. Knew it.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
There you go.
So housing inventory has risen to its highest level since 2020, giving home buyers more options. At the same time, pending home sales fell to their lowest level on record, aside from the start of the pandemic in January. More supply and less demand means the housing market has tilted in the buyer's favor, with some house hunters backing out during the inspection period because a better house for them has come along, or at least the promise of a better house. Economic uncertainty. Redfin agents report that some deals are falling through because buyers and sometimes sellers are getting cold feet due to the widespread economic and political uncertainty. Tariffs, layoffs, and federal policy changes are among the factors contributing to an air of instability. Some people are choosing to stay put. Sticker shock. The mortgage rates and home prices remain stubbornly high, with January's average rate hitting 6.96%, an 8-month high. Weekly averages rates have since declined to 6.76%, and the median U.S. home sale price rise 4.1%. Combined with economic uncertainty, high housing costs are causing some would-be buyers to change their mind. It's interesting because I've been watching the interest rate, and it's stated about 6.7%. right? For the last week and a half, something like that, which is a good thing. I feel like it's giving some people stability. I did see at least the jobs report that came out today, and unemployment went up 0.1%. So we were at 4%, and now we're at 4.1%.
Right.
So I mean, some people want to try to make a big deal about that. I look at that and I go, well, I think that some of that can be, one of the articles that I was reading, they said, we can't really factor all of the unemployment because they're not factoring in all the people that have been laid off from Doge because they're getting unemployment or they're getting, they've gotten a severance package. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. We're going to see. And on that note, this article mentioned that it mentions about the political things going on. How much of an impact is that? Because I know there's a big chatter everywhere you go. So I don't know. People are holding off and see what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. In fact, my next video coming out, it talks about that. What are the 5 things happening and what's going to happen? So I'm going to do that video in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because we want to find out,
Yeah, I definitely think people are watching it. Okay. I think that people are, and the one that I keep seeing is, the lumber. Everyone wants to go back to when we were in the pandemic and the lumber price went up so high. Like if we, with some of these tariffs, like lumber prices are going to skyrocket again and all of that. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about this topic as I do about interest rates. It's like, I can tell you what we're seeing, but being able to predict what's going to happen is next to impossible.
Yeah, the rates go down to 6.5 to 6.25, and man,
forget it.
So you never know.
I know.
It dropped in a week. That is pretty good thing that it dropped, because that gives a lot of buyers the confidence to go buy something.
Right.
Rather than going up to 7.2, say, oh my God, the rates are never going to drop, and they're staying put, but they're coming out.
I know.
I mean, I go to open houses and I'm talking to listing agents. There's 20, 30, 40 groups each day. So
that's good.
At least in Southern California, they're coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now there'll be more because the rates are 6.7 or 6.8 today or whatever, you mentioned. So,
right.
Yeah.
So Michael, you're watching North Scottsdale and you like the content. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think that it will be interesting. I'm watching it because it's something that is going to, I say it's going to affect the real estate market. Is it? I don't, again, it's one of those things like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And it's funny, I was just on a call with our local market analyst who was so dang smart. Just yesterday, maybe it was the day before. And she was even saying, she's like, right now is still a good time to buy because we are in that buyer's market, lower seller's market. So buyers do have some leverage. Like it has to be right for them. Right. Absolutely, to buy. But if you can buy, I wouldn't be afraid to buy. She's like, but you have to understand you're staying in that house. You're buying and you're staying in that house for 3 to 5 years. And depending on where you're buying, maybe you need to stay there for at least 7 years. Like you just have to know that going in.
Right.
And prepare for it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're planning on moving in 2 years, don't buy.
Don't buy.
Keep renting.
I 100%.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Do not, if you're planning on moving in 2 years, don't buy.
Don't buy.
Right. Let's see. So this one, it goes back to the article. It says, I'm seeing more home buyers back out of deals than usual. I'm hearing the same from other agents and mortgage lenders in the area. Some buyers are getting cold feet with everything going on in the world, but even with more cancellations, there are also more buyers out there in general. The nice homes in desirable locations are selling quickly, and those buyers are less likely to cancel. I 100% agree. Because a fair amount of sales are falling through, some agents are advising buyers to keep a close eye on homes that they want to buy, even if they lost a bidding war for it. It's worth checking in with the listing agent about a week after the house goes under contract. And I will tell you, if it is a house that you really, really like, it is worth putting in a backup offer on.
Yep.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, and the report says a lot of them are canceling, so your chance of cancellations is at least 30%. I mean, Shazia, what was the percentage? 27% or whatever?
Yeah.
So some chance is better than nothing. So
I agree. And then here's the thing. People go, well, if I put a backup offer on it, does that mean that I can't write an offer on another house? No.
You can. Yeah.
Keep looking. If you find another house that you like more, we write an offer on that. And if they come back to you and say, guess what? my buyer canceled. You're now in first position. If you still love the house that you're under contract on now and not the one that you have a backup offer on, you don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
So you're really in kind of a no lose situation. Like you're not losing anything. It says the portion of the home purchase agreements that are getting canceled is above typical levels for the start of the year, but it's lower than the cancellation spikes we saw at the start of the pandemic and in late 2022. A record 16.4% of the deals were canceled in March of 2020 when the onset of the pandemic scared away many buyers. I had one of those. They ended up coming back and buying the same house. Right. And nearly as many deals were canceled in October of 2022 when mortgage rates soared above 7% for the first time in 20 years. That development that sidelined a lot of house hunters and gave the ones who remained more leeway to back out of contracts if a home wasn't perfect. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know. I have not had any buyers cancel. I haven't. The buyers that I've had have stuck through it and they've closed. But it's funny. I was just talking to a buyer of mine he's just nervous, right? And he's like, if I write a contract and if I go under contract and I find another house while I'm in the inspection period, can I cancel? I'm like, during the inspection period, you can. After the inspection period, no. He's like, so I should stop looking at houses at that point? And I said, yeah. Don't look at anything else. Don't even tempt yourself. So Phoenix Fit is that I moved here in 2010 for work. I had no idea how cheap housing was. I bought my house and several rentals. That was smart.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm not selling anytime soon. I wouldn't either.
Nope.
I would hold on to them, especially if you refinanced into a 2.75 or a 3% mortgage rate. Like, don't get rid of those. I would not.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Good move, Phoenix Fit. Yeah.
I agree. I know a few other people that did the same thing, and I mean, it's smart. Yeah. So Michael says, I live in Silverstone, a townhome, financial at Pinnacle Peak, I think is what you're saying, and Scottsdale Road. I know where Silverstone is. I bought in 2019. I love it here. My place is worth almost double what I paid, but not moving. Silverstone is a cute place. That was where the old Rawhide was. And now that's where V at Silverstone is. And it's a great location. Yeah. Great location.
Doubled in 6 years. That's pretty good. That's good investment.
I know.
Excellent. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. No, it's a great location and they're cute little places. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that with all you bought before in 2019. I mean, you bought right before everything spiked.
Yeah. It's still going up. It's, market's slowing down, but prices are still going up. Yeah. At least in certain areas, most areas, especially metro areas, still going up, So
yeah. Pinnacle Peak and Scottsdale.
Yeah. There are pockets out there. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I think that buyers right now, when I tell people we physically or technically in the Phoenix area, we are in a buyer's market. And then they look and they go, okay, and the supply is going up. So we're going to start getting more supply on the market. So then therefore the prices are going to start coming down. And I'm like, not really.
Yeah.
Our prices have stabilized. And the reality is that those sellers that have a home that is not in tip-top condition, kind of like the article said, tip-top condition in the right location with all the finishes that everybody wants, it's going to sit on the market for a little longer.
Yeah.
And you might have to do a price reduction or two if you're not aggressive enough with your first price reduction. And you're probably going to have to negotiate on some repair items when it comes time for that. But if your house is in top condition, great location, great view, where everybody wants to be, your house is not sitting on the market. And I'm not going to tell you that you're going to get multiple offers and then it's going to go drastically over the list price because I'm not seeing that. But you're very likely going to get at least your list price.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're seeing here. And again, everybody that I talk to or people on my videos, things like that, the prices are too high. The prices are going to fall. It's going to crash. And again, I don't see that happening. I see some softening, but I see more stability, not increasing, slight increase, right? Slight increase in prices. And I think the homes that are pulling the other ones up as far as the increases are those homes that have been remodeled, that have been redone, and that are really, really nice. Those are the homes and our luxury market. That, because our luxury market is still really, really strong. And so those prices, if you look at averages, that is pulling all the averages up. If you look at medians, it's pretty much stable.
Yeah.
Kind of across the board.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
are you guys kind of seeing the same? Your market is just, it's not in a buyer's market.
No, absolutely not. It's
Yeah.
seller's market still.
Yeah.
And we have low inventory, like nationwide, we're in the lowest in the last 30 years. Last year was the lowest of all inventory. And yes, inventory is increasing, but that's a misleading term, right? 1 times 2 is 2. So I doubled my sales. I sold one house and I sold 2, 100% increase.
Right.
But if I had 100 homes, right, and I sold 102, I increased only 2%. So the numbers are misleading, totally misleading. So don't go by those numbers. Go by what's happening overall, because even this report that we're looking at, it's week over week, not year over year. So yeah, applications on mortgage, it says it's up 9%, which is a big number, but that's from last week.
Right.
If it rained last 2 days, so that means the next 2 days we didn't show homes. So it's going to be slow if you go week to week, right?
Right.
So numbers are relative. So when they say inventory is up, inventory is going up. Yeah, it's going up, but it has been the lowest. It's at the bottom. So when a slight increase seems like a big increase. So we have to keep things in mind and look at the whole big picture and not be influenced by one short number. I look at all the numbers, and long-term numbers.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Like, we have great reports, and it's funny, like your gasp when I read that Phoenix's home price, or the inventory had gone up 27%. You're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And it is, but our lowest during the pandemic, we had in all of Phoenix, we had 4,500 homes on the market.
All of Phoenix.
All of Phoenix.
That's nothing. Yeah.
4,500 homes. I mean, we were at like 0.2 or 0.3 months inventory. It was so low.
So low.
Right. And so now we're at like 24,000 homes on the market. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's so much more inventory. Yes. But in perspective, you have to look at, when was our inventory really high where prices were plummeting? And that was when the market crashed in 2008. And that number, we were at like 58,000.
Right.
So there's a long way from 24 to 58 to get us where, because we have so much inventory on the market, that prices are going to crash.
Right. The other thing that we have to look at, and if I'm a buyer, the way you have to think about is, and this is nationwide, usually the real activity of home buying, home selling starts now. So now that the buyers are going to come in, now the rates have gone down. Let's see in 3 months how much inventory you have. Because a lot of these is going to sell now because the rates have dropped, and hopefully they'll keep dropping. So like I said, I look at least a 90-day period before I make any decision, me personally, because 1 week doesn't give you a whole lot.
No, I agree with you. I know we look at the charts that we have. I look long-term, and then I'll look at, we've got something that's so long-term that we can see kind of the tracking of it. Jeff knows what I'm talking about, because he has it too. That you can really see, like, which year are we trending with, to see kind of any similarities. What's interesting is that we're not tracking similarities with any other year right now.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. It's a whole new market,
Yeah. Just the sad thing is that when I speak with people in their 20s and 30s, they don't believe they will ever be able to buy a house. I'm not sure how younger families will get ahead going forward. Jeff, it's funny because I just talked about this briefly on, I think it was last week on my live, because I was listening to like a financial person talk about it, and she's young. She's really smart, and she's done really, really well for herself. And she said, for the younger people, the thing that you have to look at is homeownership a priority for them? If it is a priority for them, what they have to understand is that maybe for their first house, they have to go out a little farther and buy, just so that they buy something, so that they can own something. And maybe it's not in the perfect location that they really want, but if owning a home is a priority, they've got to make some sacrifices to get to that home ownership. So they go out a little bit farther so they can buy a house that they can afford, and then stay there for say 3 to 5 years and have that house appreciate and take that equity, right? And put it into something else. And I get it, because a lot of people go, but all the other prices are going up as well. And they're not wrong. But I look at that, I'm like, okay, so if you buy something that you can afford and keep saving as your equity is going up, kind of like a forced savings account in your house. So then you take that equity plus the some of the money that you can hopefully save as that 3 to 5 years, your salary is increasing, you're getting other jobs, all of those things, and then take it and put it into another house. I look at them like there's still ways for them to buy.
Yeah.
It's challenging. There's no question. But I mean, I think back to, the first house my husband and I bought as well. And granted, home prices were different, but our first interest rate was at 7%.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, it stinks. And if you're young and you're watching, there are ways. And there's programs, right? There's programs out there that can help them buy. And
yep. And I hope there's more programs come out for younger people and all that. But one thing that no one talks about, and I'm going to interject here.
please.
We're talking about Gen X or whatever we call under 30, 35s. Millennials, a lot of them are buying right now. But what's also happening is baby boomers like myself, that generation was a frugal generation because they went through the depression or they went through the tough time. So they grew up saving money, cutting expenses, saving every penny they could, versus the millennials and Gen X right now. They have a Starbucks every day and a croissant, $10 a day, they blow on that. So they have not come up with that. So what's happening is, I read a report last year, is that the baby boomers have so much retirement savings, stocks, real estate, you're talking trillions of dollars, right? And as they pass, and that's happening here, we have so many homes that are being sold by trust because a lot of these older people are passing away. Sorry to hear that, but that's happening with age related, and the homes are coming on the market. And then what are they saying is, if anything that's going to help the younger generation is the wealth of the baby boomers on average.
The transfer of wealth.
Yeah. Transfer of wealth. So that will help. So there is some light ahead. So if you're watching this, don't be disappointed if you hear this report, because I've read the same thing. How will my daughter buy a house? There'll be a way. When you go, hopefully you have a house and some stocks and they'll get it.
Mm-hmm. So, I know it. I was just listening to a podcast, I think the other day, and they were talking about the transfer of wealth and that, like, trillions of dollars.
Talking trillions. And it's growing because the money is growing and growing and growing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the real estate. All the baby boomers who had a house for the last 25 years. Take my example. I bought this house in 96.
Mm-hmm.
And it grew and grew and grew until 2020. Guess what happened after 2020? It grew even more. I have so much equity,
right?
And it's sitting there. I could use it and refinance, but I don't want to do all that.
Right.
What I'm saying is there is wealth there. So talking to the younger viewers there, don't get discouraged. There's always a way out. So,
I know. I agree. There, when there's that was my always my thing. Like, where there's a will, there's a way. I was just always determined.
Right.
Always.
When I bought my first house, I did two things when I was younger. I bought a business. I opened up a flower shop. Didn't know anything about flowers. At the same time, I bought a house for $121,000, and I could not afford it. $600 payment. And I was shaking because, one, I have a mortgage payment, and I'm starting a brand new business with a 5-year lease. Did not know anything about flower business.
But you figured it out.
And here I am. Yeah. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. No worries.
I know. And I mean, it is hard when you look at what the cost of rent is versus the cost of home ownership right now. And then they think about, like, oh my gosh, what if something breaks and I don't have the money to fix it? And so I get all of that. I do. Mm-hmm. I remember being in it myself, as a young college student and thinking, I don't, if something breaks and we have to fix it. But I was so determined. I was like, I want to own my house. Because one, I hated moving. I still hate moving. And two, I knew that it was a really good investment over time. I just knew that if I owned a house, that it would be a really, really smart thing to do.
Right.
And I mean, when my husband and I, when we owned our house, the house that we owned before this one, that was when we went through that all the way through the market going all the way up and then crashing and the whole thing. And we thought about buying another house when the market was high, and we just didn't, and so we stayed in it, and we were really, really lucky because we are kind of like, I feel like we have a little bit more of that baby boomer mentality where we're just conservative financially. And, we just don't, it's like, we don't have a lot of bills and whatever, but, riding through that and watching our house price go all the way up and then go all the way down to where we bought it. And then we stayed even longer and then watched it all the way back up, so that when we moved into the house that we're in right now, it was the same price as it was at the top of the market before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff says, afford is the key word. I know. Ratios need to be kept below 28 front end and 38 back, or 36 back end, or they will be house poor. The reason 11% of FHA mortgages are in delinquency is due to high debt to income ratios. I know it's interesting though. I don't know if you've seen that. People want to start talking about, and I don't know about the rest of the world, so forgive me, but I know here in Phoenix, it's something, because we had such a big Phoenix and Vegas. We got hit so hard with all of the foreclosures and short sales and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And people
Yeah.
start talking about, oh my gosh, your market, you're going to start seeing short sales and foreclosures. And have they gone up a little bit here? A little bit, tiny bit. And if you don't put it into perspective and look at it from when the short sales and foreclosures were crazy, crazy high,
Right.
you could be like, oh my gosh, they're increasing. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, these are nothing.
Yeah.
It's like 30.
Yeah. That's nothing. I mean,
it's nothing.
That's nothing. We have like 1 or 2. If I go in MLS, I'll probably have 2 in all of Orange County and surrounding areas, 2 or 3. And the investors will gobble that up all cash anyway. So don't even bother looking at it,
Right. Well, and that's the thing, like with here, with anywhere, right? During the pandemic, the house prices went up so high that if they bought back then or early in the pandemic and they need to sell because they can't afford it, they've lost their job or anything, they can still sell their house and walk away with a little bit of money.
Exactly.
In the last 2 years, that's tough.
That's tough.
That's where I think people can get caught out. If you bought a house in the last 2 years and you've had, lost your job or something like that, and you can't afford your house, those are the people that could get stuck trying to do a short sale or having to do a foreclosure because home prices just haven't increased enough to cover, to cover everything.
Right.
But
the interest rates has gone up. So the person who are buying it want a lower price. They're not going to pay you higher, because if they bought at 6% and now the same price at 7.5%, it's an expensive house.
Right. Yeah. But Jeff, I agree with you. I don't ever suggest anybody buy a house if they can't afford it. Being house poor is not a good idea at all. So I get it. It's hard yeah. Hang in there though. If you're young, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Always.
Yep.
Always. Well, Mike, I feel like we've solved world's problems.
We have. At least we put some things out there, hopefully.
Right. Put some positivity out there in the world, I hope.
Right.
I appreciate you being here with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Mike also has a YouTube channel. He's over there in Anaheim Hills, like we said. So go check him out over there.
Yep.
And I thank everybody for joining us. And I will see you again next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Let's see.
Okay.